Thank you for the opportunity, sir. Here today, we are going to discuss about importance of quality indicators in dialysis unit. And it's me, Bhargavi, who is working as a lead coordinator in dialysis unit at Manipal Hospital, Bangalore. And they are the team members who helped us in putting this paper forward. And why we need quality indicators in place in a dialysis unit especially. These quality indicators can be used as an important tool for the process of quality improvement. Mainly for the process of quality improvement, these quality indicators has to be established in dialysis unit, and this study is being done for that purpose to analyze which are the quality indicators we were able to achieve and the list of quality indicators where we are not able to achieve, to identify the indicators where we were not able to achieve, and to ascertain any center-specific intervention is required to improve our results further. The study design is a single center cross-sectional study. The study was conducted in a tertiary care center, Manipal Hospitals, Bangalore. And this we usually do quarterly basis. So this study is done from April 2021 to June 2021. A total of 280 patients who are on maintenance hemodialysis for more than 1 month are included in the study. Were not initiated recently, but they are more than 1 month on MHD, currently who are on maintenance hemodialysis are included in the study. Minimum 6 quality indicators. These are the 6 minimum quality indicators which has to be maintained in every individual dialysis setup, which is really mandatory for providing a good quality dialysis to a patient. Coming to the first one, that is water quality, we do monthly samples for microbial count and endotoxin count. It is not just one sample, it depends on the unit size. If the unit is really big, we may require many samples which has to be sent for microbial growth. And then endotoxin samples, we make sure every machine is covered at least once in a year for endotoxin count or for dialysis fluid endotoxin analysis. And then coming to temporary access infection rate, especially temporary access, because the temporary access which doesn't have cough is a major cause for infection. So we apply an infection rate formula, and then we assess our department temporary access infection rate. We do monitor dialysis adequacy by URR and KT/V by taking pre and post blood samples before and after dialysis. And then we monitor anemic status in dialysis patients by checking their hemoglobin levels, and then mineral bone disease status by checking their serum calcium and phosphorus, and then nutritional status by checking the serum albumin levels. And why we have shared this slide is this is how we capture the data. For an example, we have 280 patients. I just displayed here, for example, 3 patients X, Y, Z. For the month of April, May, June, some patients may do every month. Some patients may not be affordable to do every month. So they do once in 2 months or once in 3 months. So all the patients, 3 months blood reports are being captured, and we take an average of all the 3 months report, and that is being highlighted in yellow. This is in Excel sheet. And again, we filter all these yellow colored average values into the next Excel sheet. And again, we take an average of...
Internet is not stable. We're not able to hear you.
You're able to hear me now, sir?
Yes, please.
Yes, you can go.
Yes, sir. We again take average of all the average values of each patient. So these are the average values of all the patients, and then again the last average value of together of the whole unit, sir. And then these are the number of tests done. For example, 282 patients, all 282 patients have done hemoglobin tests, and there are a number of patients who have done calcium and phosphorus, and then these are the number of patients who have done albumin, URR, and KT/V. And we are analyzing number of values which are falling as per the indicator, and then the number of values less than the normal range, and then the number of values more than the normal range. How do we calculate in Excel sheet is we apply COUNTIF's formula. We apply equal to COUNTIF formula on the Excel sheet, and then we select the cells from which cell to which cell, the number of reports which are entered on the Excel sheet. All the cells are selected, and we give the greater than criteria and then the lesser than criteria, and we apply this formula to calculate whether the patients are falling as per indicator, less than indicator, or more than indicator. Coming to water quality, there are few things which has to be checked when it comes to water quality. Routine disinfection has to be done on monthly basis. And then we are, as I told, we are sending monthly samples for endotoxin count and microbial count. The samples has to be sent before disinfection. And early once we do send chemical analysis for complete chemical analysis for RO water, what we get as a product, that will be done once in a year. And we do check whether they are falling in the normal range as per AMI or ISO guidelines. These are the acceptable level. If we are doing standard hemodialysis, the acceptable level for microbial count is less than 100 CFU. Acceptable level for endotoxin count is 0.25. And if we are using ultra pure water, in case of we are doing online HTF, the standards require our ultra pure water. The microbial count should be less than 0.1 CFU and endotoxin count should be less than 0.03 EU per ml. As per our unit results, we have 100% compliance to these set standards. And then coming to dialysis adequacy, we are monitoring URR, urea reduction rate, and then KT by V, which is actually 1.4 for single full KT by V, because there will be a rebound post dialysis. So equilibrated KT by V, we are targeting for 1.2. If you are targeting equilibrated KT by V 1.2 single.
Bhargavi, will you have to conclude? Your time is up.
Yes, sir. These are the results. URR, it is 90% we have achieved. KT by V 99% we have achieved. And the infection rate formula we have applied. And the infection rate is just 1.2% what we have achieved. Albumin we have achieved almost 86%. And then hemoglobin we have achieved 77%. Calcium and phosphorus was quite challenging for us. Phosphorus we were not able to achieve because there are quite challenges in coming to the phosphorus level. This is the summary of our results. Where we are lacking is phosphorus, 56% only we were able to achieve. These are the indicators. These are the average values what we have got. And we are lacking in the number of tests done because patients are not affordable to do the pre-burn and post-burn sampling. And then we are lacking in phosphorus. So our corrective measures were, when it comes to hypophosphatemia, phosphate dialysate bath on dialysis we are planning, and then dietary counseling. When it comes to hyperphosphatemia, we are planning to review medications, dietary counseling for better phosphorus control, and to increase the duration of dialysis. When patients are not affordable for pre and post-burn sampling, we are planning to do online clearance monitoring option, which is available with us. At least once in a month, we are planning to do online clearance monitoring. The conclusion of the study is, unless we have some quality indicators in place and we keep monitoring, we will not be able to identify where we are really lacking and how to do some interventional steps to improve these results. Ultimately, in ESRD patients, optimization of these dialysis quality monitoring is really required because this provides good quality of life to patients and ultimately resulting in better patient survival rate. Thanks for the teamwork. It is